says, three things differentiate living from the soul versus living from ego only. They are the ability to sense and learn new ways, the tenacity to ride a rough road, and the patience to learn deep love over time. The ego, however, has a penchant and a proclivity to avoid learning. Patience is not ego's strong suit. Enduring in relationship is not Raven's forte. So it is not from the ever-changing ego that we love another, but rather from the wild soul. I love that. A wild patience, as poet Adrienne Rich puts it, and is required in order to untangle the bones, to learn the meaning of Lady Death, to have the tenacity to stay with her. The meaning of Lady Death, to have the tenacity to stay with her. It would be a mistake to think that it takes a muscle-bound hero to accomplish this. It does not. It takes a heart that is willing to die and be born and die and be born again and again. That's the page that I turned to, and I was reading it as I was performing my music video, which it was really fucking powerful. Like, honestly, and I turned to a random page in my Spells and Bindings book. I closed it, but I'll read that page too. From time to time throughout the century, an adventurer would cross that barren waste and glimpse the towers within the hedge. Then he would try his strength against the wall of briars, hacking at it with a sword or axe. But the roses were strong with spells and always held against the intruder. They did more than hold. With thorny fingers that clutched and curled, they wound around his neck and plucked at his arms, coiling and darting like serpents. Once he was firmly gripped, they pulled him into the heart of the living wall, and there the adventurer would die. Soon his flesh would dissolve, and only the bones were left to hang in the trap, a mute warning to any who would dare enter the barrier. In their pride, many dared, and all perished. Then one came who was different. On one day early in May, a young man, a part, no doubt, of the spell itself, rolled boldly across the desolate fields. He dismounted at the wall of thorns and examined it closely. With his sword, he touched a branch. At once, the roses brightened. The briars opened their arms and made a path for him. He walked through shadowed courtyards and darkened halls, stepping over the bodies of the sleepers, until at length he found the chamber of the maiden. Striding to the bed where she lay, he bent and kissed her. She opened her eyes and smiled at the stranger who would soon be her husband. That's the page I turned in my spells book, and I don't know, that feels interesting to me. This whole experience was really interesting and cool to me, and I hope that was transformative. I hope that was healing. I like to turn to random pages. I've done that far before Rick Rubin recommended it, but I'm certainly in alignment with that line of thought. I'm happy today, and I feel like I need more of this in my life. Like, I feel very connected to the people that showed up for me today. I feel really connected to my spiritual self, and my real self, like my real, just authentic, like, I can do whoever I want. I can be whoever I want, not do whoever I want. I can be who I am. And, you know, a friend of mine said something to me that, like, in your adulthood, like, you realize that your real self was your teenager self. And I think that's true to an extent. I feel like my teenage self is really, like, a large piece of this Violet character that I'm, like, integrating in, but also bringing in my wise, like, elder self that I've also been, like, just missing the balance between the two. And it, like, they kind of, like, exist separate. And I think it's what's kept me so stuck and sometimes entrapped in people pleasing. The integration of the two, your dark side and your wise self, is what you need. It's actually called, like, also dialectical behavioral therapy, which I also do on this as a side hustle. So I've been rambling. Thank you so much. I love you.